And you start to look at this and you go, why are we so afraid to call these things out?
Are you saying it's because he's African American?
Oh, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. Is that what you were talking about? I didn't even notice. Yeah, of course I'm talking about that, man.
Yeah.
Of course I'm talking about that.
Right.
At some point, you got to acknowledge it. You got to go like, okay, this is different. This is a black man. We know for a fact there are many Americans who say, I do not want to have Obamacare because it is named Obamacare. And you go, but it's not named Obamacare. People explicitly called it that as a nickname to make you not like it. And now what's scarier? The fact that they did that or the fact that they knew if they did that, you would be opposed to it. That's frightening. Because politicians in America have learned how to harness hatreds and fears that people possess to get to their ends.
You know, I am trying, you said you can't change everybody, and I agree with that. I think the struggle is different. I don't reach out because I'm trying to change somebody else or I'm trying to make them be like me. I'm trying to reach out so I don't let this Trumpist environment turn me into something I don't want to be. I'm concerned that the overall environment of hatred and vitriol means that I might start becoming what I'm fighting. I don't want to feed what I'm fighting. See what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm not trying to change the people I meet. I'm trying to make sure I don't change.
But then
I want to keep loving folks.
Is that what you think Trumpism is, though?
What do you mean?
Because if I watch Trump, I feel like Trump is about the flip-flopping and the faux reaching out. Trump is about posing with the historically black college leaders and going, look at all the black colleges that we've gathered here. Did you hear them out? Oh, no, they don't get to talk. We're not actually going to do anything, but I took the picture. I'm reaching out.
It's tricky.
The faux reach out is Trump's game plan. That's what Trump does. Look at me with Obama. We're friends. Oh, and by the way, he's a criminal who tapped my phone. Like, is that a real reach? I feel like that's the Trumpism, is going, one day I'm happy, the next day I'm not. You know, Rand Paul, he's a weird-looking guy. Now he's my friend who'll agree on Obamacare. I go, that's Trumpism to me.
That's Trumpism.
Is going, the fight ends with love, the fight ends with love. It's reality TV.
Well, listen, I want to get other voices in here. You have all these people who came to see you, obviously, and not me, so they didn't clap for me. And we have another Van in the house. That's not usual. Van White wants to talk, and he's got a button on I hope he tells you about.
Yeah, good evening. How you doing?
Good evening.
My father marched in the March on Washington and passed away several years ago. But I do carry his button with me, the button that about 250,000 people wore that day. But I think about the marches today in cities like Rochester, Ferguson, Baltimore, New York City. And I got to be honest, my feeling is that we're reflecting some of the same protests and challenges that my dad and my grandparents faced 50, 60 years ago. So the question is, do the marches of today, are they more or less effective than the marches in the 1960s? And if you think that's so, should we be doing something different?
Well, that's a difficult question. I mean, there is no definitive way to measure the effectiveness of a march. If you look at South Africa, marches upon marches upon marches combined with protests from the outside and the inside, I think culminated in a political change that took place in the country. You can't deny that in America, politicians are still swayed by their perception in the public. So when it comes to marching, I don't know if it changes anything immediately. I don't know if it is extremely effective if it's just one march, but you can't deny that it has an effect. You can't deny that people pay attention to it. You can't deny that people see this, and politicians see it as well. So if someone said to me, should I march or should I not march, I would go, march. Because there may not be another way that you will be heard. You know, that's one way for the country to see that it is not in a normal place, even if it's just for that. Even if it's not for Americans to go, all right, it's business as usual. Because you can't deny that at the end of those marches, the civil rights movement, saw the reaping of those rewards. In South Africa, we saw the results of that. Was it only from the marches? No. But we can't deny that the marches were a big part of why that happened.
Beautiful. Well, listen, we're just getting started on this. I want you to stick around. We got more to talk about.
I was leaving.
No, you can't go. Lock the door. Lock the door. When we come back, the secret to President Trump's success so far, and why a lot of liberals just can't see it, even though it's sitting right there in their Twitter accounts. When we get back. Welcome back to The Messy Truth. Now, don't worry, Trevor Noah is still here. He's, of course, the host of Comedy Central's The Daily Show, the author of Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood, an amazing book, not a funny book, actually a moving book. Now, listen, I have been going all over the country. I've been talking to Trump supporters, and I'm learning a lot. And one thing I want to share. Progressives tend to focus, when we critique him, on politeness and proper protocols. Okay, there's a proper way to deal with reporters or intelligence agencies or judges. And then when Trump breaks the rules, we just start fanning ourselves and fainting and freaking out and handing out all these protocol violations. And for his supporters, his appeal has nothing to do with protocol. It has everything to do, though, with pride and prosperity. He's saying, I want you to be proud of the country and have a job. So liberals seem to only see like the crazy tweets, and then we act like that's all he's doing. But his supporters actually ignore those tweets. You want to know the tweets they cherish? The one where he's taking credit for the stock market that's rising and their 401ks doing better, or the jobs he so-called saved. If progressives want to understand Trump supporters, those are the tweets we need to be paying attention to. So I want to bring you back into the conversation, because we were talking a little bit at the break. I sometimes think that liberals just completely miss the appeal. Why is he having this appeal?
Well, I mean, it's a combination of two things. Like you said, we see the madness.
Yes.
And we focus on that. And then you don't focus on why he connects. You can't expect people to disavow him when that's the reason they voted him in.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing a lot of people struggle with is Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. If you voted for Trump right now, you're like, yeah, this is what I voted for.
But I think he's driving liberals insane. And I mean that. I mean, I think he is. And I think that I'm seeing more people. Now I'm seeing liberals and progressives now so mad and distracted and depressed. And I'm like, I don't want y'all to be in charge either. So, am I wrong?
When people say that, I go like, what is an extreme liberal? Like, what is that?
They want
I genuinely
healthcare.
know. So what's the thing you're afraid of? Healthcare for everybody? Free education? Is that what you're afraid of? Is that really what people are afraid of? We know what an extreme right-wing person does, but I go realistically, realistically, when people are saying this, they're going, it's the same, there's extremes on either end. And I go, yes, but what is one extreme shown us that they're capable of repeatedly? That is what I'm saying. When it comes to Trump, you have somebody who's saying these things, and you cannot deny that rhetoric oftentimes spills over. So yes, it may be protocol, it may be boring, but it's also the thing that stops you from falsely accusing the president who came before you of wiretapping you. Like, that's what protocol almost helps you stop.
That's beyond protocol. That's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But look, I want to get more. I know y'all want to get in, and I want you to hear from our good friend Stephanie, who's got a point she wants to make, totally different than the point we've been making.
Yeah. Hi, Trevor. How are you?
Stephanie.
Hi. My question has to do with the boycott recently for the Oscars. I was just wondering, why do the Hollywood elite think that their opinions matter on the issue of politics, and that they represent the American people? And why do they think they can tell the American people how they should think?
Well, I think the question you should ask maybe should be framed the other way, is why have the American people given the Hollywood elites the impression for so long that they look to them to shape and give their opinions on their behalf? You know, we can't deny that we live in a country where if you are a celebrity, people are looking to you for those opinions. Right. You know, people report on it every day. This celebrity said this about Trump. This celebrity said that. And then what happens if a celebrity doesn't speak out? People say, why aren't you using your platform? Why don't you speak out? When the person speaks out, they go, shut up, don't speak out. Like, these are human beings too. You know, at the end of the day, they vote. At the end of the day, they are part of something. Have they made a lot of money doing what they do? Yes. But I think a lot of people appreciate it. Some people go overboard. Some people are idiots. Whether you're a celebrity or not, people have to understand that. And I think it's messy, but it's the truth.
I have one more follow-up question. If, for example, my husband and I are involved in politics in Arizona at the grassroots level, if you have to look at, like, when you're elected, you're kind of like in that position, the people elected you. So is that kind of like a different platform than it would say Hollywood?
Oh, definitely, because, I mean, at the end of the day, Hollywood, there's a confluence of factors that isn't directly related to people voting for you. Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, people kind of vote with their dollars. But what do you think? So when you see a Meryl Streep say what she says, you know, I get happy, you know, myself. I like it. But what about the people who never feel they're ever going to be a part of that A-list crowd? Do you think there's a danger that by having that happen, or by having the dude at the Hamilton play do what he does, that it actually helps to build Trump?
Well, this is what I struggle to understand. I understand it, but I struggle to get how it is adopted by people. When people say the Hollywood elite, I go, who is your president? I struggle with that concept.